So, how much is too much? The debate over CEO pay in America is heating up. Lou Dobbs sounding off at the Fox Business Town Hall.
CEO pay in this country is out of line. The worker, the employee is watching management soar in compensation, while workers have just a disadvantaged part in that ratio. It should be much, much less than 500 to 1. Historically, the number is anywhere from 20 to 25 times as much. And that has to be addressed. Right. It should be addressed by the way, right, stakeholders, including the people who own the companies, that is, shareholders.
Let's bring in former Walmart U.S. CEO Bill Simon. Bill, thanks for being with us. What's your response to what Lou had to say?
Well, I mean, in a way, he's right. I think it's market factors, and market factors have been driving both executive pay and workforce pay. Over the last several years, executive pay has increased, and workforce pay has been lagging until the last 2 years. But now, with full employment and wage increases, we're starting to see the workers catch up some.
Hey, Bill, great to have you on the show. This is nothing new as far as wealth inequality and CEO pay. Solon, the Greek leader, tried to fix this back in 300 BC. It's been going on since the beginning of civilization, and it happens regularly throughout society. And now we see bigger wealth inequality because we have a global marketplace. The one thing that has never fixed this has been government policy. So what is the answer to this as far as CEO pay and the angst that is felt among the workers?
Well, I think, you asked the same question about Bryce Harper. Is he worth it? And the answer is he's worth it if somebody's willing to pay the amount of money that he's asking or that he can get. And in CEO pay, particularly right now, there's a lot of demand for capable and talented people. And boards have to be very, very careful when they make their decisions, and they have to offer the right amount of incentive to the right person. Many, many times that works out and it's worth it, and they pay somebody a lot of money and they deliver for the company. And other times they don't, and maybe they end up talking to you in a chair like this.
Bill, it's Heather Zumaraga. I love Walmart. I just think we're painting a negative picture across the board on this topic. For example, in 2018, half of compensation awarded to S&P 500 CEOs consisted of restricted stocks, including stock options. 2/3 of CEO pay was actually equity, which is a good sign. I think when you're tying pay to performance, I don't think that's such a bad thing. I understand there were parts of the story where their stock was down and the CEO still had an increase in pay. But overall, across the board, I was taught in my MBA class that you look out for shareholders and you tie your compensation to shareholders and your stakeholders as well. Isn't this a good sign?
No, I think it is, and you're right. And if you really look at the pay, the reported pay, the pay that the companies have to report for Section 16 officers is the maximum amount they could make if everything works well. And more than 2/3 in many cases, in the CEO's cases, it's as high as 90% sometimes of the pay is incentive based, either in equities or in bonus, and they're performance based plans. And so you report what's made available to them, and if they don't succeed, they don't get that. But very rarely do they come back and say, "Oh no, this CEO didn't get paid because they didn't perform." They only report what was offered out there. So I think the way that it's going, companies and boards particularly have to be very careful and closely scrutinize the CEO pay. But I think that's happening.
Bill, I want to switch gears right now. Walmart's CFO says the company is monitoring the tariff situation with China, but warns that the higher tariffs are going to lead to higher prices for all the Walmart customers. So what happens in the boardroom in Walmart right now, in the planning room, and how to navigate this?
Well, Brett Biggs is a great CFO. He's one of the best in the country, and they know what they're doing there. They'll treat this price increase, this commodity cost increase, like they would a cost increase anywhere else in any other category. And the first thing they'll do is look to see if they can mitigate it. Can they negotiate it? Can they move it somewhere else and not incur the cost? Because Walmart and most retailers and most companies will try to do that for their customers. So that'll be the first step. The second step will be, what does the market look like? Is there a way to, if I have to take these costs, is there a way that I could pass them through? If there is, they will. And if there isn't, they'll absorb them. So I expect whatever the tariff impact is would be dealt with in those three ways, a certain percentage. And I believe over the long run, most of it will be mitigated, either moved or negotiated away. A portion of it will be absorbed by the company because they either can or they have to, and the rest will be passed through.
Bill, a number of estimates are floating out in the marketplace saying that over the course of the year, this will cost an American family of four a little bit less than $800. Let's go with that number for now. I kind of look at gas prices when they rise and they impact the American consumer. Consumers still get in their cars, they still take vacations, and they still travel. So even if Walmart does have to pass that off to the consumer, there's a certain, part of us that will just deal with it and figure out a way. Do you agree?
Oh, I do. Consumers are smart. They're very smart, especially when it comes to their money. They will find the lowest price and the best product they can for that price and make do. So the analysis is that you're quoting with $800 would be if they bought exactly the same thing at exactly the same place and didn't make any choices based on that. But if the price goes up 10%, they're going to make a choice and buy something else or go somewhere else. That's what they do. That's what they do with gas. That's what they do with any price and any commodity. And retailers are smart enough to know that, so they'll adjust their product and determine how much the market can bear.
Bill, this is Adam Lashinsky with Fortune magazine in San Francisco. My instinct tells me that you're sort of underplaying what the ramifications of price increases on consumers across the board could be from Walmart. But the question I want to ask you is, are there strategic things that companies like Walmart, but really that Walmart can do, such as looking for other places to source their products other than China? And do you think that's an active conversation? And sort of play that out for us, if you would.
Oh, sure. That's what I meant about mitigating. The very first thing they'll be doing is trying to find other places and other sources. They're gonna take these costs that are presented to them in the form of a tariff and say, well, if I buy it from China, that's going to be in there. But if I buy it from Vietnam or if I can make it in the U.S., I don't have to deal with it. And so that's the first step in this. And in the long run, I think they'll be able to find a way to offset all those costs, which is why China really needs this deal, because the longer this goes, the less likely that American consumers and companies are going to keep paying the tariff. They're going to find a way or a place that can manufacture the product without the tariff. And that's why I really still think a deal will get done.
Bill, real quickly, I know Walmart made some big news this week with its plan to expand one-day delivery. Do you think Amazon may be shaking in their boots a little bit this week?
I doubt it. I mean, Amazon's a great company, and they're marching ahead with their own plan. Walmart's approach is more this sort of convergence of physical and digital, and the use of their stores to do order online and pick up in store and deliver the last mile. So Walmart's going in a little bit different direction than Amazon is. Either way, this, for both companies, this is an expensive proposition, but it's what the consumer wants, so they're headed in that direction. But no, I don't think Amazon's too worried about Walmart, and I know Walmart's not too worried about Amazon. They're both good companies, and they're competing well against each other.